All right. I'm going to talk about Donald Trump a little bit. I don't talk about Trump very often, and it's a very good reason why I don't talk about Trump. The reason why I don't talk about Trump is I realize that there is nothing that I could say to Trump that he would ever listen to. My perspective on things and his perspective, just like a lot of his most, diehard supporters, we don't view the same things are this we don't view that we don't view the same problems. Basically, I view a set of problems over here, they're viewing some other stuff over there, and we're nowhere close to getting to the solution that we all want because we're both looking at different problems. um, I feel like I feel like the problems which I'm looking at are more pertinent, more valid, and the actual things that we need to actually focus and work on. Whereas they feel that I'm completely wrong and vice versa. As long as we're doing that and we have that level of tribalism, there's no point in trying to waste a lot of time trying to convince Republicans. The way most of their seats are set up, they're so gerrymandered that they literally do not have to listen to Democrats. That's the reason why they can completely ignore Democrats. They only have to keep the Republican constituency happy. If they keep their constituency happy, the people who are in their district, which a lot of the Republican districts, and now that I think of it, it's not just Republican districts, because you get into a state like California, and California is extremely gerrymandered, just like New York is extremely gerrymandered for the Democrats. But the problem which has happened is while they both found it okay when they were in power to be able to gerrymander the areas to help one party or the other, what happened is the Republicans were just a lot better at it. And so in those Republican areas across most of the Midwest and Southern areas, they were able to build in almost indefensible strongholds in certain areas to always be able to push back against Democratic challengers. That is why I do not focus on trying to convince a Republican. But I felt the need to talk about Trump just this one time. Well, let me, go back. There is one Republican which he is pertinent to always talk about, and that's Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is the most dangerous senator in this country. And it's probably been one of the most destructive senators of my lifetime, especially from the Republican side. In my opinion, Biden has probably been the worst in my lifetime on the Democratic side. So if McConnell stays and and Biden becomes president, that can be very interesting, especially if Pelosi stays also, which hopefully you guys are really looking into Shahid and giving him a fair shake. I am a big fan of him, and there will be a video coming shortly talking about Shahid versus Pelosi. So keep an eye out for that. But back to Trump. Trump is not going to listen to anybody from the left at all. It's pointless. He doesn't have to. Just like I talked about with the gerrymander, and he has the same kind of situation. He just has to keep his constituency happy and just pick up a small number of independents. Now, the Republican strategy to win is to always just muddy the waters. Trump's goal, which the reason why he has this goal is he's gotten himself into trouble, which most of you guys know that his polling numbers have looked really, really shaky lately. Much worse than anything that they projected with Hillary, and it's not nearly as close. Trump felt like he could do the law and order. He can go out there and kick protesters in the teeth, brand them all as looters, and everybody would just turn a blind eye to it and just trust Trump. Well, Trump was wrong. Also, the COVID numbers. The older voters are starting to, wake up and get scared about this. And so they're moving away from Trump. And Trump is to blame for this. Now, for Democrats out there who are trying to get excited, slow your horses. Do not get excited yet. Because Joe Biden is a walking catastrophe and he could, collapse at any moment. Also, depending on who he picks for VP and what their record looks like, that can be bad also. I'm in the belief that most Americans have a short memory. Now, if Trump decides to throw some money out to people more than he promised, and he decides to maybe do some kind of fake version of universal health care, any of those kind of things like that, where he seems like he's trying to give something and help in any kind of way outside of only his MAGA base. If he does that and he's able to pull any independents and third parties, or if he pulls a higher share of Bernie voters, that could, result in a massive swing in these numbers. So those of you guys who are Biden supporters, I advise you to canvass or do whatever. Please don't waste your time trying to get Bernie supporters online or trying to convince them or whatever. Just leave them alone. Let them do their thing. As a former Bernie supporter, there's nothing that you guys are going to be able to tell me that's going to reassure me that Biden is going to be very much different from Trump in the ways where I have issues with it. I have big issues on foreign policy, and I do not see any difference between the two. I see both as bellicose. I see both are willing to abuse their power on other countries and neighboring states. So I don't have a great deal of confidence in any of that. You guys talk about the court system. It's already a 5-4. If they wanted to do Roe v. Wade, they could do it regardless. So they could just say, you know what, even if Trump loses, they could just do it on his way out the door. So the whole court argument and a lot of these arguments which I hear are nonsense to me. I can go on and on about it, but it's Trump. My overall message is don't waste your time talking about Trump. It's pointless. Try to fight against him. You guys have a good one. Thank you.